3 minutes per member per topic, and we appreciate if there is redundancy in your comments, that you hold those so the board can move forward with the business and getting into the owner's forum. At the owner's forum, for those that haven't been in these meetings before, that's again 3 minutes per member per topic. Chris is going to lead that effort, and we ask that you wait till Chris calls on people, and then when that one topic is raised, that we have sufficient communication from the members regarding that topic. At that owner forum, we cannot make any decisions by the board because that hasn't been appropriately noticed as new business. Just to remind folks about that. Okay, so let's go to the president's report. I'm at a disadvantage because I don't have eyes behind my head. So the first thing, and I apologize for my back to the audience, the first is the turnover report to the declarant. This is a really important report. It's the 558 report related to the Florida statute. This is some people have called it the defect report. And so there have been numerous financially focused activities with the CPA firm led by David. And this is quite important as they go through not only the monies that were spent by the declarant, in the case Lennar was the primary board representation over the whole amenities process. And again, the back office of ICON. So as everybody knows, when we have commission ICON to be our property manager, it's not only a property manager, they have a back office regarding human resources, financials, etc. So it's not only the people you see on site, but there's a number of other people that are behind the scenes that are helping us. And then the second part is related to an engineering report. The engineering report, actually, we've had 2 done at the same cost, so don't worry about that. And the reason for that was the first person that did the assessment was shortly thereafter left the engineering company that we hired. And so her management came actually on Monday to go through the facility. In addition to that, the turnover committee that met late last year came up with over 100 different observations that will be included into that report. And then observations that I and other members have conveyed over the course of the last 6 to 8 months. So that should be a robust report. And we'll see how that goes as we submit that as required, probably in the January timeframe. If there are any members that are interested in helping from a review perspective, et cetera, please reach out to me after the meeting. At this point in time, I'm going to handle the hard stuff, and David handles not the easy stuff. That's a bad word for the hard stuff. It means everything here. But David, the financials are very, very important. He's going through that in much detail. So there's something on the screen, so I'm having a hard time seeing. I saved the tree. I didn't print out the slides. I apologize. Do you have a hard copy? Does anybody have a hard copy? Okay. Just a second, please. So I don't. Okay, that's cool. Okay.
You lost the PowerPoint?
Well, it was just a box window that I can't see.
You can just drag it down.
Yeah.
Just drag the whole thing down.
Yeah, so let me just see if I have them on my phone. Just a second, that's all right.
I'm in your emails.
Okay. Oops, that's definitely not here. Sorry for this time frame, but it allows some more people to come in the room. That's actually what Karen, you know what? I'm going to slide it over and I'll look at it over your shoulder if you don't mind. Okay, the next one is regarding the 2025 budget. So obviously, this is the first resident budget. This is a quite important one. There will be a budget workshop. The team has been working on it. David has and he'll talk about it maybe in his treasurer's report. David has a subcommittee regarding the finances, and they'll be meeting shortly, and David can talk about that in more detail. But the budget's very important. Obviously, we know that although inflation has gone down, it's still above what it was a year ago, so we're very cognizant of that. And then there were some things in the developer budget that they approved in 2024 that we think was a little short, and I'll go through that in the next slide. A reserve analysis has been performed. So for folks, a reserve analysis, as you know, is mainly focused in on these two buildings. There were other things that might be in there, and that's as well as the I'll call it the parking lot / road. And so we're very cognizant of that. And normally in the first year budget, there isn't a lot of money put aside for the reserve, but we'll have that workshop and we'll talk through that details with the community. Obviously, ICON roles and responsibilities. We continue to work with the site management as well as their outside management to make this even a much better community than it already is. And the roles and responsibilities continue to be adjusted. And those roles and responsibilities are very important as we go into the next year's budget. Some things we want to enhance and some things we don't want to enhance. So like last year, the declarant made a decision that we would not have a lifestyle person. Luckily, we have two excellent people, both to my right, that have taken on those responsibilities, saving you a lot of money. So, and then other members have stepped forward and done some other things. Ramco roles and responsibilities, we continue to discuss with Ramco. Not only is it the roving people that are on site, it also has to do with the security systems, et cetera, here. And that continues as there were some, I'll call it holes in our security system, which some of us feel very strongly that should have been given to us and will be also part of our 558 report. We'll have more details about that at another time. The 2024 on-campus events and activities, there was a lot of discussion. Scott's here today to talk about some of them. For people that haven't heard this before, 2 years ago, the entertainment budget was about $50,000, and that was for a restaurant outside that was only open half the year. The developer budget for this year was only about $30,000. So Scott and Karen and Jeff have done a phenomenal job to continue to maintain that. We're looking to go back to having a much higher budget so we can have more entertainment, et cetera, for the community, as that's been verbal feedback from a lot of people. So that's, I think, very important for people to understand. Lee County, don't worry about that. We're not having police come in here, but actually more so that the sheriff and the Coast Guard regarding boat safety. There have been some members that have offered their services to teach boat safety, et cetera. We felt that it was a liability expense, not that they couldn't do it as good, if maybe better, than the Coast Guard and the sheriff, but we just felt that from a liability perspective, we should bring them in. That event is, Karen's been working on that event to focus maybe a little bit on kids, but also having an ice cream truck, which is, I'm going to go to the ice cream truck. But anyway, that will happen sometime in November, and there'll be communication on that. And again, member involvement or upcoming activities. The various committees are very important. We're not going to focus on that today because of the time elements, but please look to participate in the committee. It's worthwhile to the community, but it's also worthwhile to yourself from two perspectives. You interact with different people in maybe a more positive setting, but also the fact that you meet new neighbors. We're a community of almost 1,100 homes now, and to meet new neighbors is always a very important aspect. The budget workshop, as I mentioned, we'll have a budget workshop, so people will be very familiar with that, and more to come on that one. The amenities common area rules, we had a first set of rules that went out, had a number of comments, and the second set will go on once we have 5 members of the board. Again, all comments are considered by the whole board. The rules are set up really to ensure safety, liability, but also to ensure consistency across. We're not HOA police. We don't want to be HOA police, but there are certain things that we just want to make sure that you, the community, aren't obligated to pay because somebody is being stupid. And I'm sorry to use that term, but it is that. Surveys, there has been an exercise class survey. There will be another one from the vendor shortly. And we'll leave it at that. There are a number of social activities. I want to shout out to the social committee. They're doing a wonderful job in mostly off-campus activities. And then there will be a survey regarding strategic, I'm sorry, yeah, come on in. There will be a survey regarding strategic direction of the community. And then finally, amenities enhancements. During the turnover discussions, there were over 100 different suggestions. Some we've implemented that you may know or may not know, others that may be a more of a financial burden. Some may be member specific and would not be cost effective. So we'll have more discussions regarding some of those amenities enhancements. Thanks. Can I go to the next slide, please? So this is the eye chart, and so this was the results of the first survey, this shows. Let me read the questions for those that are online or can't see very well. How important is it to you the WildBlue Amenities Association offers group fitness classes? And about 50% of the people said very important. Again, this is a survey that only 240 people responded to, and just not, one has to recognize that. So I asked folks that as the next survey comes out from the vendor, current vendor, that you respond to that. It'll be very important as we move forward. How likely are you to participate in group fitness classes? There were about 50% of the people very likely. Approximately 65 to 100 different people participate in fitness classes currently at our community, and that varies from in season and out and off season. So we don't look at how many times people go to classes, but looking at how we serve the community, which is that number. How often do you participate in group fitness classes? And as you can see, that number of 100 is almost 100 people is probably representative of the people that participate, even though the sample size is only 240. Would you be willing to pay for group fitness classes? The third rail. Again, yes was not, I should say no is the majority of that. It's unusual for communities to have honestly group fitness and that it's not paid by the community after turnover. This is a selling trick that developers, but at this point there has been no discussion and thus no decision. Decisions will be made and always are made by this board in the past, the present, and the future in front of you all, unless it was a personnel issue. If yes, what would you willing to pay? And I think it says $20 per class. And again, that's 50-50. But again, this was just the first survey to get an idea of what might be applicable for the community. So really, we're not at a position today to really talk about any details in relationship to the exercise vendor. The staff has looked at other vendors, and the biggest feedback I've had has been the fact that this current vendor, which seems a little bit unreliable, maybe that's the best way to put it, and that's disappointing. I'm going to go to the next. You can go to the next slide. Oh, Chris. Oh, she has.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Oh, sorry. So this is shortfalls. Since there's a lot of new people here today, I'm not going to go into detail. Obviously, this means that what monies we didn't have in the budget dedicated to these important services. Obviously, the turnover, which is the first three, are quite important. The attorney has also provided us with guidance in relationship to other matters of different natures. The campus-wide insurance, that was insufficient coverage at a previous board meeting. The community felt that we should have more insurance than actually we thought, so that was implemented. Reserve funds, again, none, and the perspective is that we might not do reserve funds in the first year. Hopefully these buildings don't come down in the first year because of the obviously it's covered under insurance. Maintenance of the pickleball courts, the tennis courts, the bocce courts, there were insufficient funds for that. Entertainment, I talked about already. A member suggested enhancements. There was a suggestion about another AED, machine. Staff came up with a good solution to save money, which is money not only for putting that in, but also to make sure it's operational, and that was the movement of an AED machine to the outside of the pro shop. So thanks for saving that money. The pickleball court shades has been something, and a water fountain has been other things that have been suggested. That list is, as I said, could go on for 97 different lines, and we'll have those discussions after we have the discussions regarding what the core budget will be. Because the core budget we need to have. Additional inside chairs and bocce benches. The chairs have been purchased. The bocce benches have been purchased and haven't been installed, and feedback by people to have those. And so the bocce benches will be installed. We have a full-time maintenance person that's busy. From the showers that are at the pool areas to a door jam not working, etc. And again, the marina and the transient docks. So people call the docks over. I call them the dine and dash docks, but those are transient docks. There were insufficient funds put aside for them due to little use over the last 2 years. And then, as I mentioned, the campus-wide security. The security coverage in this building, outside this building, is insufficient. The major concern there is in the spa area, where people get kicked out all the time by our Ramco roving person after dusk. So why is that a problem? Well, somebody hits their head, the first thing they're going to do is sue us, and we've had a couple insurance claims already. And so they'll sue us for that, and so we will put in some we'll discuss that at an upcoming meeting regarding potential costs, and we'll not know yet if that will be in the 2024-25 budget proposals. And then food and beverage, as you know, we all go outside of the community, though you should eat Wednesdays through Sunday at our lovely restaurant. But when we go outside, we notice that the price of food has increased, and as we go to the grocery store, the food and employee increases. So that wasn't anticipated. Okay, next slide, please. I think this treasurer's report. Yeah.
Does everybody see the happy sign when you come in here? I mean, the community, it's welcome to paradise, right? That's what it should be. So everybody on this board is trying to do the best for the community. And nobody up here is trying to do anything that is detrimental. So I just want you guys to really feel that way when you come in here. And I will tell you what the treasury report is, and then we're gonna put some more people on the board. So
Hopefully.
yeah, right. So in a nutshell, basically, the P&Ls for June have been very steady with the developer's budget and the projections that they have put forward. We've been maintaining that, which is a very good thing. The sweep accounts that we set up, everybody understands what sweep accounts are. So if we go over 250,000, that those go into different accounts. We have interest earning on those accounts. We've earned over $3,200 year to date so far on those accounts. The restaurant revenue, as everybody knows, is getting along and it's going well. It can probably do a little better, but we are ahead of the game. It's $230,000 ahead of the revenue projections that the budget developer led put forth. And even with the home sales slowing, with the implementation of the capital resales, we're at $72,000 year to date. And that's only going to be more as we get through for the next 3-4 months.
It's all dependent upon the realtors doing their job, come on, sell these houses,
We need people that are coming into the neighborhood to understand this is a happy place and we love it. So that's a positive nature too. The developer turnover audit has now been sent to our CPA firm. And as soon as we get some of the initial responses back from them, we'll be getting a finance committee together and kind of going through those responses. And that leads on to mention a little bit the 578. So it all kind of flows together and with the budget that we're going to be looking at for the upcoming months and for next year. So that's kind of where we are with the discussions on that for the budget too. Within the next, let's see, October, end of October, we should have that put together, I think. But talks have already kind of started on that to where we need to be. So I guess in a nutshell, that's kind of treasury report.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
I'm gonna move on to the
The management
management report.
report.
That's you
Our
guys.
management team has implemented storm preparedness procedures since 2021. This is an internal document. It's available for access. If any interested parties would like to have that storm preparedness procedure, either contact myself or Roxanne via email. Regarding the recent storm, management typically refrains from responding to social media comments. However, due to the controversy surrounding this event, an email was dispatched, and the board requested that we address this matter in a more formal context today. With respect to Tropical Storm Debbie and the preparations made by management, all indications suggested that it would be a rain event. Consequently, management, including senior leadership, decided to leave the patio furniture in place. As a result, the amenity campus experienced a brief but intense gust of wind, which caused several patio items to be overturned and blown to the pool. Maintenance personnel were on site during the occurrence and promptly restored the pool deck to its original condition. It is important to note that many of our pop-up thunderstorms produce winds that exceed forecasted levels, often resulting in lounge chairs, umbrellas, and cushions ending up in the pool. The pool furniture is made from commercial grade materials and is intentionally lightweight to minimize potential damage to surrounding areas. An assessment conducted after the storm indicated that no damage had occurred. That said, the management staff acknowledges that perfection is unattainable and there will be instances where members observe something out of place. We encourage you to reach out to management via email, my cell number, which I think everyone has, and our after hours number, the Bradenton extension 941, rather than the gateway number at Fort Myers, which does not come to my phone. I receive immediate notifications via text and phone calls from the answering service. In other updates, FPL was on site this week to replace a meter at the sports court, and we're in the process of obtaining another estimate for the repair of the LED lights. The annual inspection of the sprinkler system is set for August 19th, while the fire alarm testing is scheduled for September 19th. Furthermore, the spa jacuzzi is facing additional complications following the replacement of the heating sensor. And finally, the repairs for the treadmills are currently on hold as we await the necessary parts from the vendor. And this concludes my segment of the management report. I will now pass it over to Scott Drescher, our food and beverage director.
Hello, everybody.
Thanks, Karen.
So they asked me to just to kind of give you a little brief snapshot of our revenues and when they occur, right? I know there was some talk about, we did a little trial of extending the hours of operation. But I put this together just, the time frame of this is from June the 10th, which is right about the time frame that we implemented the extended hours on the Fridays and Saturdays as a little bit of a test. But as you can see by this, obviously lunch is lunch. But if you really get into the data, you see that between the hours of 5 and 7 are the meat of everything that we're doing. We're doing about 50% of our revenue total, not lunch or dinner revenue, but total revenue. About 50% of that revenue is derived between the hours of 5 and 7. So they have to put this together just so you can sort of see when the money's coming in. Between the hours of 8 and 9, actually you see it drop precipitously. And then the 9 to 10 time frame is almost immeasurable, really. So they asked me to show that just so you can kind of get an idea of when things occur. And I think the percentages and the dollar figures really tell a tale of what, when everything really happens here and when the meat of the revenue is generated. In terms of events,
So wait, before you go off this slide, I want to make sure so it doesn't, this was a test for off season, okay? So don't go running home or et cetera and think, oh, we're not going to do another test in season regarding this. This was a test for off season. Again, this facility has been, we don't have a lot of data. So we generated data and actually the 9 to 10, it was a loss for the community, but we wanted to generate the data for the future. And we'll reevaluate off season for next year. Fair, Scott?
I think people should not get it, really focusing on the number and the sales, because we are member driven. So what it also tells us is how many people are there. So we have to remember that when we're looking at it, is we want to make sure that everybody in our community can use it when they're there. But if the sales don't show that there are people there, then it shouldn't be open. So that makes sense with looking at the numbers and how that all falls together. So I don't want everybody to think, oh, well, just because we're not making profit doesn't mean that I don't want to go there. It all comes into the part of how many people actually are there.
Right. And we get that it's a chicken and the egg kind of thing here, right? You keep it open later, people stay later. Like we get that. And this is just a test of people knowing that it's open that late. How late is the food open? How late are people drinking? But until we know this and see more people coming in, that's what we have to evaluate it on.
and part of the financial issue with that does stem from our liquor license. So it's a little bit of the verbiage is not just straight black and white, right? And I'm not prepared today to tell you what the exact verbiage is, but we do have to have, basically in a nutshell, we need our kitchen open to keep the bar open, right? So to do that now costs us more money to be open per hour to serve drinks because we gotta have the kitchen staffed as well. And I don't know if it's just the restaurant business or not, but whenever we say, oh, we don't need to have 3 servers here, we can get by with 1. I think a message goes out to the community and everybody shows up, right? So that's the way it seems. And if I say we need 5 servers, then the message goes out and says, don't go in today. But we're gonna staff the place typically in a worst case scenario, right? I don't want to get caught with unprepared. So part of that is, what does it cost us to stay open per hour? Well, it's not just what you see when you walk in, is you see a bartender sitting there. Well, I gotta be open. So I gotta have servers there to take tables. But then I gotta have line cooks, I've gotta have food runner, I've gotta have dishwasher, and those dollars add up, and they add up really, really quick when you look at a per hour basis. And that last number on that $306, that was for about a month and a half. And that doesn't even begin to come close to, that's about an hour's worth of payroll. So just to give you an idea, so.
So basically, you need to drink more later if you want it to stay open.
Yeah, but you gotta eat too. You have to eat too.
Right, I think the 306 is being one night.
It was, right?
Thanks, Scott.
Absolutely. So on the events portion, what I did, I'll just tell you all a little bit long-winded, but I'll tell you exactly the process. So I went to the board and I said, listen, I can't wait until an October budget meeting, November budget approval, whatever the time frame is going to end up being, to book entertainment for 25. A lot of these entertainers are already booked for 25. That process has to happen early. So I went to the board and they were gracious enough to give me a not to exceed number. And then that allowed me to get the wheels rolling on the remainder of 24, which we all know is not funded because of the budget cut that was made in the 24 budget at the 9th hour. So I quickly got to work then filling out the rest of 24 and then also 25. And even like trying to book something as simple as a Name That Tune for November of 25, like, no, we're full that night, you're requesting, we need to move to another. So this stuff, it's real. I mean, these places book out, especially in season. So it was really important to get ahead of that. The board graciously gave me the go-ahead. So we got busy doing that. And it's all tentative right now. You're going to get, once I get everything done and all the contracts in and all the everybody's on board, we'll send out a calendar of events for the remainder of 24 and then also for 25 as well. It won't be detailed as if we're gonna have green beans, as one of the items, it won't be that detailed, but you'll get a calendar that'll say on, whatever date we're doing this and this and this and this and this, and then we will then, and we're already building flyers for events. We use what we call BEOs, they're called banquet event orders. It's an internal document that I start. It's on a shared drive, so Chef Nick can get in there and he can start brainstorming ideas for a party or for a wine dinner or whatever. So that's kind of the process in that. So that's already well underway. It is not final yet. There's some dates have been a little bit fluid. We're trying to get everything coordinated. But as you can see,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Halfway, right?
We have a season opening party that's going to take place in October. Should be a really, really, really fun event. We're going to try to do a season opening party, if you will, and then like a season finale party, if you will, each year, along with some other special events that go on. But in a nutshell, we're doing a season opener in October. We're going to have monthly, and I was able to not everything is finalized, but I put in some pretty good projections into a spreadsheet and for the financial aspect of it to see if can we even do all this stuff, and we can. So we're going to have karaoke once a month. We did Name That Tune this last week, which was everybody that was there had a really good time. It seemed to me. I've actually booked that company through 25 for once a month. It may not be a Name That Tune. We'll see how that pans out, and if it gets old and stale, then we'll have the opportunity to change it up. That specific vendor has lots of options in terms of a trivia style interactive game or whatever it may be. So, but we're doing karaoke once a month. We're doing a Name That Tune once a month. We're doing, and then the monthly live music as well. All of that is in motion. One thing I'm looking to do in 25, we we really noticed that the community likes on these summer holidays, the Labor Day or the Memorial Day, July 4th, that whole pool bar party DJ concept. And thank you for your participation in that because it's been remarkable. Just to put it into perspective, I'd say the average event that we did in season 120 to 130 people were attending. We did over 260, or about 250 people for July 4th. So, yeah, no, thank you guys. That's fantastic. So we're capitalizing on that. And what I'm proposing that we're doing is getting a DJ once a month on a Sunday, like a Sunday fun day pool party, out of the pool. Sort of the same concept without the food element. If we need to bring a food element into it, we will, but right now I'm not planning on putting a buffet or anything like that. We'll have the kitchen open. If it's received well,
We'll continue.
then we'll bring a food element into it. But we'll see how that sort of pans out. You know, we don't, as Mr. Hamburger spoke before, we don't have history, right? We're writing the trend every day for WildBlue. So we're still sort of figuring out what you like. So we capitalized that. We saw that Memorial Day, oh my gosh, everybody loved the pool party. Let's capitalize. Let's do that. So that's what we're doing, right? I've got on the books tentatively a couple of wine dinners for the wine enthusiasts that are out there. I've already met with some wine purveyors. We're going to be bringing in hopefully a representative from the winery that we're choosing to come in to sort of MC the event, if you will, and talk about the wine, be paired with the food with Chef Nick. This will be a pretty high-end event, and it will be a limited event. It will not be, let's sell 300 tickets. It's probably going to be more like in the 100 to 80 to 100 range, limited, because it is sort of interactive, if you will. But that, we're going to do a bourbon dinner. What else? Holiday dinner dance in December. Halloween party on, that was like one of my first days working here last year, was a Halloween party. And everybody had a great time there, it seemed. So, but we're always looking for suggestions for what you may want. Shoot me an email, grab me, talk to me, let me know. But also understand that when you say, hey, I've got a band that, you know, they'd be great here. That's fantastic. And I'll definitely, I have a whole file folder here of entertainment stuff. But that may not happen for the next 12 months because I'm already booked, right? So, you know, if you have any suggestions on things you may want to see, activity, things like that, from the food and beverage standpoint, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know. It doesn't matter what I like to do, doesn't matter where I like to eat it, only matters what you're going to support. So, and we appreciate all the support so far. It's been a remarkably successful summer, I feel like.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, good. So,
We'll do questions for Scott now, so he can go back because this is a work day for him. So Tony had the first question, quick.
If you have a talented musician or somebody very good that from the neighborhood, why they cannot play? If you don't pay them and if they come here, they play, that would be good because people, they like to see them play and then more crowd comes here. But they said, if you are from the neighborhood, you cannot do it. I think that they should change that. That's my suggestion. And a lot of people that will show up.
So you want to handle this one in general? You want me to? No, I mean, I think that we need to talk
yeah,
a
so
little
what I
about.
will say in my experience, and this is a broad thing, hiring a member has never been a good idea.
Not hiring.
He can come.
Right, I'm doing the volunteer part. The volunteer part, that hasn't been approached to me yet. I've got to kind of work through that in my head and figure out if that's something to do. I was at a club where it worked, and I was at a club where it didn't work, and it gets sticky because and I mean this in the nicest way possible. If they're really good, then fantastic. If they're not good,
It's like a lot of people want to karaoke, right? Some people shouldn't.
but that is a difficult conversation to be had to walk up to somebody who you're going you see time and time again. Say,
But this goes beyond music, right? Like,
Yeah.
because this is just one thing, this specific in music, but this goes for other things. Like, should we hire somebody at the gym who happens to be a trainer that works here? Like, that all falls in line with the same exact things. We have to consider it as a whole. So when we do that, there are some places where it could be a deficit to us and put us with liability. And then you have an owner who's also an employee, that creates issues. So that is something we have to consider. Volunteerism goes a little beyond that, but it stays in the same breath. It's something we can certainly consider, but it's a slippery slope.
It's a great suggestion, Tony, and you've heard some of we know some of the positives, we still know the negatives, and we just have to manage that.
But thank you.
Thank you for the question. I can't,
Okay, so I go to the restaurant a lot. I love splashes. I've talked to you about this a few times while I've been there, Scott, is every time I show up, whether it be at the pool or at the actual restaurant, you can hear a pin drop. And it's a free thing that we already have all the speakers in place. And I feel like when I'm trying to enjoy myself out at the pool, it's like this room. And it doesn't make me want to stay longer and buy more food and drink. And I have asked the bartender a lot, and we'll even pull you aside a lot, Scott, and say like, why is there no music on right now? These are simple, free solutions that we can make sure that there's an employee that is being held accountable to just simply turn the music up and make our place more enjoyable so that people want to spend money at a restaurant.
It's a great comment. I'll answer and say, I thought there was music out there, but I also know that I've actually received emails from people about certain artists that they wanted and didn't want out there. No, I'm serious. Okay, well, again, I don't know what, again, I'm, I understand what you're saying. I think Scott's taking note of it, but I'm just giving you, I did not know that there was not music out there.
There is off and on, but it's never consistent.
Okay.
And you almost never hear it.
I thank you. We thank you for the comment. He'll look into that
It's
reason.
free, right? Just turn it up.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Okay. Thanks.
Anything else for Scott?
I have thought this through. Sitting at the bar and later on in the evening, could you maybe possibly look at extending your appetizer menu? For instance,
That's a great question.
pizzas, we're pretty limited to what we can have in pizzas. So, I mean, I'm just thinking about some people maybe don't want to eat a big meal. And they just want to share a pizza with some friends or do something like that.
Okay.
Because once you've eaten your meal, you're done. There's really not much more you're gonna get.
So Dave, I can help answer that partially also. There will be a fall menu that's coming out shortly that the chef and Scott and the Icon team will be sharing with the board soon. And regarding pizzas,
And it don't have to be pizza.
but I think it's important for people to hear this part. Ask if you can have something other than what's on the menu. Chef usually can accommodate that. It all depends upon the time of day, et cetera. But so just for everybody, if you want a different type of pizza, sometimes that can be arranged. As an example, is that correct, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, I don't know if the community even knows this or not, but I have no oversight of the kitchen. Okay, I answer to Jeff. Nick answers to Jeff. Nick doesn't answer to me, I don't answer to Nick. So just so everybody kind of aware of that, we work together 1,000% on everything. And I've spoken to Nick about this, what we're thinking about expanding. I haven't looked at expanding, you're talking about like a late night?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Let's just say we had a late lunch and we're
Yeah.
not that hungry and we just want to get some.
Yeah, we've talked about that for football, putting together like a football, if you will, menu for Sunday afternoon, more like the potato skins.
Right.
Poppers, that kind of thing. It's more the football, like. But yeah, if we can, I'll make a note of it and I'll definitely bring it up to them for sure. Absolutely. Anybody else?
Anything else, Scott?
Yeah, Christine, about.
I just wanted to add, I have ordered the pizza and asked for olives on it. And they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my,
Wants extra little something or other.
yeah, my sort of theory on that, and, you know, I have experience in the back of the house as well, and I had this philosophy when I was back there as well. The answer is not always gonna be yes, because if it's going to be, if to put olives, and that's a very simple request, but to put olives on your pizza, that's gonna disrupt
Yes.
everybody else's
I-
dining experience, I'm probably gonna have to say no to you. But 9 times out of 10, if we've got something sitting there, it's not a big deal, you know, to accommodate.
That's what,
But
that's
as
what,
long as it doesn't, if we have it readily available, and it's not going to disrupt that service, whether it's lunch or dinner service, and I have no issue with it at all.
that's why I was careful when I said, depends upon the time of the day. You saw the peak. And, you know, obviously that peak is obviously that they're hustling in that small kitchen. So we all recognize that.
One last question.
Hey, one last question? Oh, no. Yeah.
I see the Bin Allen Band, is that the Halloween party?
That is the season opening party.
Okay, see, what day is that?
The 25th of October is when I just finally got the contract from them. I was hoping to do it the 26th, but they were booked up that day, and then the week before, the week after. So. Okay.
Good for you. You can take one more.
Yeah, yeah.
Tom in front.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Thanksgiving last year was amazing.
Good.
Great dinner, and I don't see it up here.
It's up there.
Yeah, I didn't know everything. I just did some highlighted stuff.
Same thing with New Year's
Thanksgiving will
Eve.
happen.
It's going to be New Year's Eve, by the way, in case you want to take a day.
Yeah, so there's been a little bit of, and I won't get into it here. Yes, we're doing New Year's Eve, just not sure the format right
Yeah.
now. But Thanksgiving, pass the word. Because I was expecting a very, very, very large turnout for Thanksgiving, and it was a little bit lighter. Well, not a lot lighter than I was expecting.
That's
So it was great.
Oh, it was
Pass the word, and
really
good, good. Because we'd like to see it, you know, I mean, I'm all for being as busy as we can be when we're here. I'm all for that, so.
The staff is giving their time away on a holiday, so that they also appreciate the people coming and enjoying the atmosphere. Great, super. So I'm gonna, by the way, Scott, you and your team do a great job. I really appreciate you coming in. And especially, a lot of us see you hustling on when you expect 35 people and 150 show up. So thank you.
And another note is I'm in the process of scheduling interviews for a dining room manager position.
Mhm.
So hopefully we'll get that person on board. I'm not in a huge rush. I want to make sure it's the right person, the right fit. We've actually got a much, much, much bigger response than we previously did. It was pretty rough on the last time we had to hire that position, but so hopefully we'll see somebody here within the next month on board. So be exciting. So, anybody else have anything for me?
No, thank you again. Really
Thanks,
appreciate your
Scott.
time. Oh. Okay. So we're going to go to the next section. I'm not going to read the slide. I should read part of it because you can't see it. So this is member input during new business section. So we have 3 items on the new business today. We ask that you continue to wait till you're called on by the designated board director. I'm not sure who that's going to be right now. Each person needs to state their name. Please don't be disruptive at any time. Respect others' opinions. You know, sidebar conversations are really disruptive. And respect others that are communicating by not having those sidebars. So in this new or unfinished business, the board directors will have a motion and a second. Obviously, with 3 people, a second implies a decision, but that is really not a final decision. We will allow owners discussion up to 3 minutes for that particular topic. And then we'll have a board discussion if need be, and then the board will vote on that motion. If that motion is not approved, then we could modify that motion and go through in an iterative process fashion. But today, because of the 3 members, we won't do that. So let's go to the next slide, please. And these are the 3 items that were noted in the announcement that we provided. So 2 new board members. I guess this is for you because you're.
Well, we were lucky enough to, Scott was mentioning he got a lot more response for his position. Well, we actually got a lot more response than I anticipated, at least for position. It wasn't a huge number of people, but there was a great, group of people that stepped forward. And there's some people that even told us, I'm here because I didn't think anybody else was going to come here. So don't pick me unless you need to. So we did get a couple of those too. And so we definitely took that all into consideration. And we all discussed this briefly of saying like, okay, who do we think we should move forward with? And so I move to nominate 2 people, and I think I can just go on with the nomination, right? So I'd like to nominate Dan Edenfield to the board as VP for a 2-year term, and with Helen Apostolidis to the board to the 1-year term. Anybody want to second?
I'll second it.
All
Okay,
right.
so we're not going to vote now. So I said that the community would have input. I'd like to just make 2 comments, if that's possible. First of all, I want to thank Carol Lisi and Rick Bennington for their service to the board. Really much appreciate it. And the second thing is Chris mentioned, Chris led this effort. And really impressed with all the people that came forward. And some of those people have agreed to participate in committees. The committees are essential, as you heard. The 558 committee is pretty essential. The committee regarding finance is pretty essential, but all the committees are very essential. We wouldn't have them. So is there any comment from the community regarding this motion that's been seconded? Okay, yes, ma'am.
Could you go over the names again? I didn't.
Well,
First one.
Oh, okay.
I mean, 2 of them are here. Should we introduce them?
Well,
here,
they can stand up.
If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Dan and Helen. Okay. Well, they haven't been voted on yet. They haven't been voted on yet, but they're in the process of walking forward. So the second, do I have a vote for on that motion, please?
Put a vote together.
Yeah, we have to, yeah.
For Dan and for Helen to be on the board.
Okay, you
want Dan to be?
vote in the affirmative or the negative? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. The next action and the first action is to come forward and sit with us. Okay, thank you.
You're up now.
Helen and Dan,
Start voting.
As they say in that show, come on down.
You guys gotta-
So I would
Dan's
like
got
to
a
say though,
speech.
that everybody that did come in, the members or people we talked to, everybody had great points and the people were so positive about the community. Some were just doing it because of the community and would sidebar their own personal issues and life to come forward to help out. And these 2 are doing the same thing, but the other people, they want and are looking for to be on the board for the following years too. So I wanted to put that out there that everybody was great and it was a kind of a very hard decision for all of us to kind of look at. And we had to rank them to what we thought. So just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Looking forward.
Good job.
Okay. So we're going to go to the next action item, and the item is new business, is modification of the Marina Slip licensing agreement in process. So this is not a full redo of this discussion. And again, now we have 5 board members, but I make a motion to adopt the latest version of the Marina Dock license application. This motion is to reduce the initial term annual fee for the Marina Dock license from $7,500 to $3,500. The rationale for that, for people to know that there were few applicants in spite of a survey that said 40 people were interested in the initial term of $7,500. So the motion is to reduce the the term for this year, for the full 12 months, starting soon, to $3,500. Do I have a second of that motion?
Second.
Okay, super. Now we can have the community.
Right. I was gonna say is the people that have put their applications in for the higher amount, they will also get immediately rebated for the lower amount.
Okay, yeah, super. That's great. Yeah, we're not gonna keep their $7,500. Okay, so communities, do you have any comments regarding this? Please, can you just state your name?
Chris Whiten.
Thanks, Chris.
One question I had on the slips is, will there be available transient slips to be able to launch boats, to be able to get on the boats, take the boat out for people that are not on the lake? Or that do not have a slip?
Great question. And so nothing else has changed in what we had communicated previously. There will be, I refer to it as on-off for various people of about an hour in length. So that would be in what is going to be called the horseshoe. I think people know that. It's not going to be over in the transient or dine and dash over here by the splashes. The splashes are not overnight slips at all. Those are for people to come to the restaurant. So to answer your question, at this point, there will be two of those. Okay, and it won't be over there. Some people said let you lug all your fishing equipment over there, and that's not
The
fair.
plan is to have them right by the launch.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
you can, once
the
you put your
horseshoe.
boat in, you can,
It makes a big difference. That launch is very, very narrow, very, very steep. So, carrying stuff down there.
Yeah.
you can come right in here instead of.
Yeah, that's been the feedback from the Lake Management Committee, which may be the wrong term, but I think everybody knows what we're doing there. And then the other thing is, yeah, I'll leave it that for now. Mr. Brown.
For people that don't know me, my name is Peter Brown, live on WildBlue Boulevard. To address the board, how many slips are you planning to license out, Steve?
Well, currently it's really about 22,
22.
but there's, I mean, remember the amount of slips that there are. There's 8
40
at the dining dash that are gonna not be done, the 2 that are there, and the 2 ends will not be leased out either slip.
And it also has to do with the configuration of the boat. Smaller boats or jet skis, et cetera, will be a different size. And yeah, go ahead, I know.
So, Steve, I worked on the lake management,
Yes.
the turnover committee. My opinion is, I think 3,500 is a little cheap. However, I can understand you putting it to that amount, but I also think you could ask more money for the slips if they're renewable yearly. Because people, and I'm sure there's people that own boats in this room, boating is expensive. It's very difficult to justify to go out and spend 50 to 100, maybe more for a boat that you're gonna have a place to put it for 1 year. So, and also I think it puts undue burden upon the management to have to go through this every year, but that's my own opinion. But the idea is, right?
Can I address that real quick first? We will be voting on that as it goes along more, I think. Right now, there's only 3 people that want slips. So if there's nobody else that wants slips, it doesn't really matter. We have plenty of them.
Right.
So at that point that we get 20 slips or 20 boats that are in the water, and next year comes along and we say, anybody want them? And then you put your name in, yes, I do want my slip. I don't want to sell my boat, but as you know, in marinas, people come and go just like any place else. But yes, you're right.
Well,
Do you want to spend $100,000 for a
That's the
boat
question. This is-
and I have no place to put it other than my driveway, maybe. So,
Well, the thing is, you can also just think of it, a good customer that pays you is worth a lot. It is just good.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's part of it. People are looking for this community, this amenity center was given a huge benefit with this boat slip already being here. And so far, there really hasn't been any revenue derived from it. And I think, so whatever you're going in the right direction, but please consider that maybe renewability in the future.
Yep.
And I'm sure you'll have plenty of people.
Yeah, and and we went through this before, and I know everybody's thoughts on this, but my rationale, and I won't speak to anybody about anybody else here, is like it's both sides of the coin, right? Like you sell them all out and you have renewability, then nobody else has access to it. On the other side of it, would you buy it if you didn't have renewability? We completely understand. I completely understand those issues. We're trying to work through it, but right now, as is with a lot of other things, what we're trying to do is not create issues that don't exist yet, and then figure them out as we go along the best that we can. I hope that.
And to be cognizant that we now have 2 other members that are on the board that we didn't have. So at this point in time, we'll vote, there's 5 people now, on this proposal, and your suggestion is, would be considered in the future.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, please, your name, please?
Do we have insurance coverage for that location for the boats?
Yes.
Yes.
We do?
And they will have to have insurance as well once they're registered. The fee will be in there. So yes, we have a $25 million umbrella package.
That's the question, because in terms of premium, we have to be sure that they don't reduce it from 75 to 34, it's not going to have to insure that.
Yeah, we thought that through. Thank you. Appreciate people giving suggestions because, you know, my background has not been in boating, so I didn't know that. But to answer another question that might come up later, any watercraft that's put on that lake has to be registered with the staff, and the registration of that has to be not only registered with all the bells and whistles from Florida, which I don't know all of them, but also have appropriate insurance coverage. So that's the through.
I'm Matt Ganzak, I'm part of the Lake Management Committee.
Yes, sir.
We talked about a tremendous number of regulations that would go along with renting out, and none of them were really finalized. And there were things in there such as fining people $2,000 a day to take your boat out in a named storm. So there were a lot of things that we talked about that I don't think were finalized. So I don't know if we can move forward with that before everything that was discussed is finalized, that we discussed in that meeting.
Okay, just to repeat the question, because I'm getting messages here that everybody can hear, that there were some concerns, some specific concerns in the past that were brought up about renting out the docks that you don't feel were already rectified, so we should not move forward.
But do we have
at this time
rules written out somewhere we can read? That's just my question. Like, there were a lot of things that were still unchecked off as being finalized.
So the application, so regarding fine, well, first of all, I think the maximum fine by law is $1,000 per day. Is that right? Yeah. So I'm not. Someone may have misconveyed
Yeah, is
that.
that within like what you're voting on? Is the
No,
No.
we're not voting.
These
on-
aren't rules. This is just a changing of what's already existing to a different price.
Yeah, so the application has in there, Matt, regarding those things. One does not have to put a list of fines on everything that might happen. So I think that helped answer your question. There is work that is ongoing in relationship to the removal of all watercraft from this lake with named storms. I think we talked about this 4 or 5 months ago in relationship to a named storm of category 2 or greater, I believe, that might hit between Naples and Tampa. So, for example, the latest storm would not have caused any movement of boats. We were courteous enough to allow a few boats to go into the parking lot, as some people saw.
Understand. I just want to make sure that those
You're right.
rules are.
Yeah, the application is pretty detailed regarding movement of boats, et cetera.
Because we didn't get any follow-up to that meeting that we had in terms of the rules that were, there was a lot of things that were still up in the air.
Right, and there was things in that meeting I understand were not applicable to this group's oversight.
Understood.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that, that's all done.
Yeah, and what is in the marina should also be consistent with WildBlue master guidance on boats at personal docks.
Okay. Is there anywhere to read that?
We can send you the application.
For the
Okay.
application?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that something that we could?
Well, absolutely. I think the application's
Yeah.
available from staff. Anybody that made application had to
We've had 3
fill that
people
out.
have already filled out the application already.
Yeah.
So it's there and, so.
So remember,
Absolutely.
this
More
is,
people
Not
the
on
better.
the website or anywhere to download or?
Yeah, it's on there.
it's on there, yeah.
Because at one point they weren't going to allow anyone that lives on the lake to rent there.
Well,
That was one of
that's-
the rules.
No, that's not in there.
Yeah, that's all.
Well, first of all, that was a miscommunication from somebody else. The preference at one point was, and that was an old business that was retracted like 3 months ago. The preference would be for people that didn't have one of the 240 homes that sit on the, but that was retracted by the board maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I think.
Yeah, it's open to any members.
Yeah, and that was by the way, that was feedback from people at the Lake Management Committee. Yeah, so, again, but this proposal is strictly related to changing the fee
The price.
from 7,500 to 3,500 for the next year. That doesn't mean that fee is going to be 3,500 in perpetuity, which some people thought. It might be more, it might be less. I think we know where things usually go in life, except for calculator prices, right? You had a question? Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Dale Brazos.
Thanks.
Was the rationale to lower the fee due to trying to stimulate some interest?
Yes, it's all economics.
Okay, the second question is this going to be just added to the budget in terms of additional income?
As of right now, it will go,
Line item.
as of right now, it'll fall under admin, but for the next year in 2025, I'm hoping and have asked already that we set that up as a profit center on its own so that we can put everything just like we do with the pool and the tennis centers and everything else. That's the way I'd like it to have. Absolutely.
Yeah, the same way there is income in relation to the resale assessments and et cetera. So, but it's also allowing more people to use those slips, right? Please go ahead.
My name is Peter Wisnowski. The question is, when I have a friend who has a waiver on it and wants to come here, can we go voting on it?
Yeah, so the declaration is very clear.
Let me just, just for everybody in the audience and online, the question is, if you have a vessel that is not a member's vessel, that a friend or somebody on the outside wants to come in, are they allowed to? That's the question.
Yeah, so the declaration is very clear. I want to be very careful how I say this. Guests can bring their watercraft to this boat, to this lake. We cannot deny them. And remember, we have 3 different lakes with 3 different groups that can use them. So the only thing I'm referring to is WildBlue Lake right now, okay? So we cannot deny your friend from bringing his boat if it is registered with the office, if it is have the appropriate
That'd be wrong
insurance.
in that, Steve. It has to be a member-owned vessel and registered. Nobody from the outside can bring in any vessel.
I'm sorry,
Very
Rick.
clear.
Rick, I'm sorry that you disagree with.
It's a fact. You need to look that up before you.
Yeah, I did look it up and I have legal guidance to it. So I will be glad
Nobody
to.
from the outside can put a vessel on.
I didn't, if you heard me clearly, I said it has to be registered and it has to have insurance.
Yeah, and owned by a member.
No, that's incorrect, sir.
So we can go outside this neighborhood, just to be clear, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but just to be clear, we can grab anybody's boat and go over and register at the office and put it out.
Unfortunately, that's the case in relationship to section 3.1. You know that I talked to the attorney to make sure. We were surprised but it says there, use of amenities common areas shall be available to all members and their invitees, guests, family members, and tenants, subject to the rules in the amenities document. So at this point in time, our attorney has given that guidance. I was surprised, Rick, like you are right now. I was surprised, but that's what she has given us, that legal opinion. I've challenged it once, right? You guys are on the emails. So, but at this point in time, I know of no boat, watercraft that's been registered from outside. And that's why, due to your leadership, the whole discussion about ensuring that the entry of the lake was consistent with registration.
Okay, we're kind of getting off subject.
We're off
That is
subject.
something that-
Very much.
Hey, Rick, wait a
Well,
minute.
not for
Rick,
licensing,
Nice.
not for changing the price. It has nothing to do with like the changing the price. We'll bring that up. You can bring it up in the forum, but we need to keep moving this along. If there's no more questions about changing the price, does anybody want to speak on that any further? Okay, then we can move on
let's
and
vote
vote for
on
that.
that.
So Dan,
Excuse
and
me, so the answer to my question is yes, my friend can come and I can go.
if it's registered, is that's the
It has to
legal
be
opinion?
registered as a boat here, and that
And
Right.
insurance?
And with insurance,
it
absolutely.
still has to be registered with,
I
with the
said
state and
multiple
with-
times, I said insurance, Rick. So again, that you'd have to go through the office like you would go through the office if it was your own boat.
How long does it take me to get the registration on it?
Just come into the office.
With the appropriate documentation, yeah. And she gives you the sticker.
Just
Right.
remember, you're
Right.
taking responsibility for that boat as your guest.
As a member.
Understood.
So
I'm
it goes
not-
back
I'm
to
not-
you.
I'm not trying to have the friend come and go voting on his own, okay? I'm actually. on the
Right,
boat,
absolutely.
And I'm the resident.
all right, can we wrap up this section right here with the slip?
Does the owner have to be registered on his friend's boat? He does not. The
No, but
owner
it'll be registered
just
under your
has-
address.
Right.
So anything that happens will be under your
Your
address.
name.
You mean the boat has to be registered within
No,
the state?
the boat will be registered with him. The registration with us will be
Has to
under
be
your
through you.
address.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll, because obviously there's less than 2,200 people here today, because I know that there'll be incorrect information that comes out we will make sure that we get a message out to the community, hopefully next week. I have some personal stuff that is going on that might be a little longer than that. I won't go into it.
Steve, can I ask for one clarification? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say, but
Yeah.
this excludes rentals?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I thought we'd wait till later to get this, but yeah, rentals are not allowed in this community. And so there are people that have conveyed that they rent boats. No, it's not allowed. So, and again, the ramifications of somebody that violates these rules, there is a hearing committee and a finding committee, interchangeable words, I'm sorry.
Right.
That can be.
Before we go to the next question, does anybody else have a question about the price? Nothing else.
We're gonna vote on it.
We're gonna lose people here and we're gonna end up not having quorum and then we're gonna have to wipe out this whole meeting. So anybody else have any questions about the price? No, thank
Great.
you.
Motion for-
So we have a motion to reduce the price of the annual rental for the 2024-2025 season. Okay, to be specific, people understand that. We have a motion, this motion, and it's been seconded. Do I have people voting in the affirmative? Say aye. Aye. Any nays? I was an aye also, so that's 5-0. Thank
All right.
you. So the next one is suspension of privileges. This is obviously, we've done this, had to do this once before. This has to be done in a public hearing. So, there is an appropriate process that Karen and the ICON staff both here in their back office as well as with our attorney that follow through and it's by Florida statute or et cetera. So the next step is, do you mind going into a little detail on what the, not the process, but the fact that these people have been notified and.
They're not, the privileges,
Yeah.
they have been notified that they owe money.
That's what I meant.
They do not have to be notified that they're getting their privileges shut off.
And they were notified by,
The accounting department.
right, yeah, by.
And by the attorney.
All these
Yes.
people are in collections.
These members are in collections and there's an intent to lien the property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it takes almost 120 days to get to this point.
Correct. So, as we approved the minutes earlier, there has one house that's already in this status for a while. So,
I make
Is there-
I make a motion that we suspend the privileges for the people listed due to the fact that they have not paid, to not payment of their bills and they're in collections. And they lose their privileges on their key fob, on their fobs for the restaurant and the fitness zone.
so they're inactivated for any building access.
Correct.
Do I have a second? You guys are welcome to, okay. I have a second. So now for the community, you have any input? Yes, Tom?
Is there a budget for this? You budget to lose, to have so many people in arrears over the year?
Nope, there's not.
So whatever their in arrears are.
Sucking out of our
Collections,
revenues.
There's a process and they go through collections. Yeah, and so they have to pay for the attorney's fees, they have to pay for everything. And all we're doing at this point is just shutting off their privileges here. Does that make sense?
Are any of these people also delinquent on master? 'Cause I know, like, from
I
my-
can't-
That's not a question for this
So
meeting.
I know on the master side, I think you shut their gate access.
I cannot do that. I
You
cannot.
can't.
So the question was whether this is master or amenities, basically, and this is completely separate. This is just amenities, and we don't have any access to closing them out of the gates or anything like that. This is just for the amenities and what's here.
Is this lienable?
Yes,
It's an intent to lien. They've already gotten that letter.
It's with the attorney.
yes, please, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You, just your name. Okay, super.
Right.
Question, just for clarification, we are not cutting off anybody's privilege until they're 3 months behind, is that correct?
It takes
More than that.
120 days by the time they get the lien, by the
But
time
they
the
take
process.
90, then you do 30 of notice, right?
They
Rick,
get
it's with the
plenty of
attorney.
notices by the Florida statutes. Like I said, by the time all is said and
I
done.
was asking for the date breakdown.
Yeah.
So by the time all the processes is
Yeah.
completed, it gets to about 120 days.
All right, the question was how long does it take to get here?
Yeah.
And it averages about 120 days, well past the 90 day.
Correct.
And still be charging in there
Correct.
somewhere around that time. That's
Correct.
Yes.
Actually, the action can't occur until there's a vote by the board, and it could be more than 120 days.
That's true too. By the
Yeah.
time you're voting.
Yeah, so it's, as you noted, the last time we had a special board meeting for that. So any comments from the board? Okay, so we have a motion in place to cut off the privileges for the accounts that are listed in the agenda or notification. Do I have a affirmative vote? Is that aye? You voting aye? 5-0. So that has been approved. Okay, so the next thing is member input during the owners forum. Chris will be chairing this section. And again, what we're trying to do is raise hands, and then we'll tackle the question that is on the table. So we're not going to do exercise and then vote and then, dogs and then come back to vote. We'll try to do one topic at a time. But if there is already, the board feels that a topic has been discussed enough, we will move off that topic. Again, this is an information session for the board. The board cannot make any decisions because but may ask for clarification from the member. Again, 3 minutes, appreciate it. I think that you have a question that's coming from the.
One came in, we'll start here and then we'll jump back and forth a little bit. So it says, could you please speak to the status of the proposed boat ramp gate? So it's really just a question.
That is not, as we said, it's not been finalized regarding what we will be doing there. There was a gate that has been purchased but not installed. We're now looking at other options regarding this. We do have the right to limit access to the lake. That is, we're cognizant about the ability for people to get in and out of the lake. And what else? So we're looking at a fob system. So your key cards, again, can be directed to specific doors, et cetera, and that will be part of the process. As we said multiple times, we will not close that gate until we had appropriate procedures in place, which would be with input from the community. So like the rules that we had, where we had one set of comments from the community, in parallel work with the attorney, and then soon when the new board members get a chance to look at the proposed changes based upon member feedback, that will go out a second time. And there was initial input from the turnover committee. The same thing will occur with the procedure for entry into the lake. The lake management committee was mostly concerned about two things. One, contamination, which is a big problem in Southwest Florida, not only from contaminated lakes. I think Cascades has a contaminated lake right now, which is mostly related to fertilizer runoff, but also contamination because boats go from the Gulf in. In fact, like Miramar Lakes does not allow jet skis in their lake because of that. And the second one is use by unregistered watercraft. And again, we went through what are allowed on our lake as the legal interpretation is registered with Florida, registered with our group, with our ICON and management team, which has to include insurance. And what will not be allowed entry is rental boats or watercraft. Okay, so I think that helps answer where we are. There's nothing going to be put up until we have feedback from the Lake Management Committee and also the community.
Let me say one more thing before we start answering questions and going off deck with it. Nobody's trying to restrict the lake from anyone that's a member. Out front, before somebody says, oh, block me from the lake. That's absolutely not true. Now, do we need to make sure that people are registered and putting the right boats on the water? Yes. But it's not going to be something that you can't use. And there'll be a way that if it, in some fashion, that if there's an emergency on the lake, you're going to be able to get off, or an emergency crew is going to be able to get out. That will make sense. So hopefully we're not freaking out on stuff.
So,
Peter.
Just so I understand it right, so it will be some kind of fob system where, maybe you'll have a camera there, someone operates it, they'll take a picture, so you know who's in there, and that's it, but you can get in there. So someone in the fishing club wants to launch their boat at 6 a.m., they can do it.
Yeah, so Peter, the fob system, so for example, if you have a registered boat, your card will allow activation of that fob, of that arm. If Bill brings in his friend's boat, his card will not open up that gate.
Okay,
That makes sense.
How will the system know if the boat is or not?
Because it's the same system as your ADDR, the same security system. So we're gonna add a line for boat. If your boat registered, you'll have access. It's no different than these
So
We have
you don't
24
need the registration, is what you're saying.
Well, what's gonna happen is a little box you check off. For instance, my fob works 24/7, your fob shuts off at 9 PM. So it's the same kind of restrictions, it's just gonna be in addition to the security system.
Yeah, so Rick, to answer your specific question, yes, if somebody brings in a boat that's not registered, but they have another boat that's registered, they could probably get in. The alternative is, and some people have asked for it, is to have a harbor master. And the cost on that would be about $300,000 a year. I think that is not a reasonable expense in my mind, but I think I see enough nodding that the community probably.
I mean, as the community, obviously, we have to do the best that we can. I mean, there's a lot of ways that people can get around this. We know that there is a question online. I do see you asking about if you're going to allow a guest member to come on, guests to come on with their boat, what we're just talking about over here, then how you're going to stop contaminants. We can't stop all of this. We do need all of you to help us do that too, and control yourselves and control your guests of what they do bring on. Unless you do want, as Steve just said, somebody standing out there or a locked gate where everybody has to be checked every single time they come on and off, this is the alternative. We want to make this as easy and fun of a place as possible. But with all of the other restrictions that some people want, it would be under a complete lockdown. And we know there's got to be a balance of some sort. But okay, we have more on this specific topic?
Well, I'm gonna answer the comment about contaminants. So people who know me know that I'm not a boater. I think I have been a boat 30 years, except for ocean liner. There is available hoses and water at that spot. We can, and we'll have a camera there. So in theory, every time that somebody fobs in, staff will know who fobbed into the lake, and one can then go look and see if they used sprayed the boat down. Right now, it's a minimum use lake. So at this point in time, that might be a procedure to follow. But again, Dave, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Dave, will the guards have a sheet of boats that are registered? Because if my friend Tom here sees somebody at a bar and got a jet ski and he's got a fob, or somebody that has a fob that will open the gate, that boat shouldn't even be allowed in here.
Yeah, so Dave, it's kind of a corollary to what Rick just asked in relationship to a member misusing the system. The same way that I'll be honest about it, some members in the WildBlue community have given out transponders to their friends and family to use the pickleball courts, or for people in Vista Blue to come in. I mean, that's on you all to, we're not, I want to have fun here, guys. I mean, so you have to monitor yourselves. So a member giving their card that's activated for the boat to somebody that doesn't have a boat, I hope that never happens, but it probably will, but it's on the member that's the problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know some people are saying, I mean, you have to do some monitoring.
Well,
yes, yeah, go ahead, Dave, I'll go back.
if a boat wants to come in here, they know ahead of time to register the boat. That boat is registered at the gate. If the gate doesn't have the registration from the office, that boat shouldn't come in.
Yeah, now that's a discussion between two different boards, this association and which has no control over that gate. Secondly, if somebody has a vehicle that has a transponder in it with a illegal boat, they're not going to go through the gate. They're the guard. They're going to go through the other entry, right? Is that right? Yeah. That's possible. So again, I understand where you're coming from, and I know that we can think of the unlikely event, but I think that's shame on the member.
I don't think it's an unlikely event. I think but I do think that there's nothing we can really do except for ask for the trust of the community that you are
Yeah.
going to do the right thing in this case. Kate?
My concern is with the functionality of the fobs. I'm a boat owner and I've had an emergency situation where a boat where a line snapped during an intense windstorm. And it was probably after Karen's hours, to be honest, and we were able to safely get our boat out onto the trailer and take it out of water. Now, if it's a fob system and it fails like our LECO gate does often, what are we gonna do in that situation if it's potentially after Karen leaves and the fob isn't working? Do we just, like, my other suggestion is if you're gonna have a gate there, we should have it be a manual gate where every registered boat owner has a key to the manual gate. Make it simple.
That's certainly something we can bring up when we discuss like how the gate will be done. I agree, and if there's not an emergency breaker or something of that nature, but.
I've already been through a situation where we've had to pull our boat out right
And-
away. So that's my only concern is the functioning of the fob and being at the mercy of another employee to have to show up to help us.
Absolutely, and that's something considered, and with the gate conversations that we're having of what type of gate, right now, it was originally going to be manual, and nobody wanted that. Nobody wanted any gate, everybody wanted a gate. So we're trying to find the best of all these worlds. If it is going to be a key fob system, we don't even know what the gate will be. This is a conversation that we're having with vendors of what happens in this very scenario, right? Like what happens if the electricity goes out? Is there a way to do this? Right now, we don't know that answer, but we will find out before we install anything. And somebody asked online if we can issue an RF sticker for the boat, just as we do the gates. I guess that would be also in that same breath of like, we can consider that if that makes sense, if that's feasible at all, if it's feasible price-wise, certainly something we can look into.
Yeah, thank you.
Are the snakes connected to each other?
No.
Any possibilities in future that they will be?
What was the question?
Are the lakes connected? The gates are not connected.
No, the lakes.
No.
So the lake like this is connected to the lake?
They are not.
No,
They are not.
Totally.
The lakes are completely separate lakes. So if you enter this lake, it's different than entering the Visa Lake versus any of the other lakes.
So I have to pull out the way around or go to the lake.
Yes.
Unless you watch.
You got to have a good jump.
I was gonna make a joke and I was gonna talk about Evel Knievel, but I don't know, I'm not supposed to tell jokes, so I won't. We can have a boat
It's
ride.
not a possibility that this lake's ever gonna be connected, right?
I know, they're all different elevations.
But talk to Tom Cruise. I know he can go in the air for a far distance.
All right, we got to keep moving
Let's
along.
keep on moving. Wait, let's
Somebody
go to this gentleman first.
Quick comment.
Yes.
I oversee with, here, police protection in the community.
Yes.
And what we did is that we reached out to another facility just to get their input. What do they do? How do they do it? What do they do, et cetera. So my question is this, is it a suggested approach to perhaps look to other associations who may have water in facilities in their facility there with boats and find out how they do it?
Yeah.
Help us perhaps understand out.
So the question is, have we reached out to any other communities that have similar situations?
And the answer is yes. But if you have some, send me a note on some other communities that you know of. Maybe I haven't reached out to them, but I have reached out to a number of communities. Again, I'm not the boater, so I may not ask the right questions.
And so,
I'm sorry, I didn't respect the police that's been on, in terms of that, so obviously I think you do boats, but as, again, just suggested approach.
Yeah.
To reach out to another association.
We've talked to them. In fact, yes, we've talked to them. We talked to Miramar Lakes and a few others, yes. But send me other ones, it'd be great. Super, Dave. And last one, because we're gonna move off of this.
Is there an active lake?
what's the question?
There has been 2 meetings of that committee and it will be another meeting shortly.
The question is about it, is there going to be lake committee meetings?
As I articulated, the lake committee will be, I'm sorry, the lake committee will be part of the review of the procedures as I articulated earlier. So yes.
Okay, and really quickly, so online, somebody is a boater in Illinois, they have a private ramp It's kind of what Kate was mentioning over here. All boaters have a key and lock, manual, simple, and effective. Okay, good to know. We will definitely take that under advisement while we're trying to figure this out. What's the best way to do this? And then somebody asked about the pool furniture ending up in the storm, but we already asked and answered that already. So any other new topics?
Do we have a list of the lake committee?
No, what I'm going to do is,
Rick, could you send that to me?
well, thanks.
Thank you.
I thank you for that. But we'll also reach out with the communication again, as I said earlier, hopefully next week.
Okay, I think you need to rethink your 3-minute topic item, but anyway.
No, first, everybody.
I already missed my 3:30, so go on as long
Well,
as
you
you want.
have 2.5 minutes now.
I'll save you a lot of time. You said in your treasurer's report that we were pretty much holding on to budget. Have you forecasted where we would be as a community at the end of the year, going into next year? Are we gonna be close to budget or?
There's a lot of variables there, but yes, right now, if we maintain the same that we're doing, yes, we're gonna be there, and I think we're all to reach it if the season's coming up
So we
again.
might have a
So,
surplus, you're saying?
Yep.
So Tom, the one question we don't know is that in November and December, it was very healthy here in the restaurant. However, we don't know if that was healthy because of the amount of people here or the fact that they were trying to spend their $375 minimum. So that.
Well, the good news is it doesn't really matter why.
Yeah, it doesn't matter why.
But that was only half a year anyway. They still have to spend that same amount of money. So.
Right, yeah, but we don't know if they spent it already this year.
It's about 60/40.
Okay, but it looks like we're gonna be pretty close to work.
Yeah.
Good, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Bathrooms at the boathouse are closed. Any reason why? They never used to be.
I did not know they were.
Yeah, you're walking and
The bathrooms.
I don't know anything about it, but
You're
I'll.
welcome.
So a couple,
There it is.
I'd like to make a comment on that and two things. First of all, the best way to communicate any issues is with the management team. The worst way is to communicate in social media because they don't look at social media, okay? So that makes no sense. Secondly, I ask everybody that in their phone contacts, I think we all have phone contacts, that you put the emergency number, you put the other numbers in there. So I don't get a call on a Sunday that there is a alligator in the pool, okay? And I won't tell you all the calls that we get. Call them, okay? They're the first line of contact. We are paying them money to do the work. You're not paying me anything except for the 4 chicken wings that I took on Thanksgiving. So anyway, I'm serious. You gotta contact them first. And don't assume when something is seen that it's vandalism. We've had medical emergencies that people have called it vandalism. We've had other things that have been, and don't assume that damage is caused by something when it's been something else. But you know.
All right, Steve, I don't know if we need to go into the social media side of things here. Are there any other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All we're trying to say.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
The fines committee, what's the status? Carol, Alessi,
So the hearing committee has 5 members. Okay, go ahead.
What happens in a finding committee is I have to open it up to the community. So even though Carol, thank you to Carol, had 5 volunteers, I still have to do letters of intent, resumes, and maybe more than 5 people want to be on the finding committee. So I have to open it up. So there wasn't a rush on it because our rules and regs have not been finalized either. So at some point I will send out invitation, letters of intent, and you'll do that just as if you're running for a board.
Right, and luckily we don't have any actions on that topic. We do have rules and regs in place, but we revised ones. Yeah, I just want to make sure. Great, super. Any other topics?
You want to tell us how good of a job we're doing?
Nice, I got one.
Okay.
I want to thank the board for changing the time today, because there was 17 of us that came from London to come to the meeting. So I know that was hard for you, Chris, because you missed it. But, and then I also want to thank Steve and the board for finally allowing us to put together a social committee, which we are working very actively on, which we now have over 40 people on the list of volunteers. We've had 2 meetings, we have subcommittees, we have people working on a whole bunch of stuff. So without your help and letting us finally start that up, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, and I think it's important, not just for the social, thank you for all of that. Not just the social committee, but all the committees need people. We don't need 3 or 5, or we need as many people who want to be involved. There's certain ones that have to be a little more confined, but please help us, help you, because more people are sitting on there, the more, we want to widen the circle of the people that are influencing what we're talking about every day, and then trying to get that out there so we do hear what everybody's saying. So please do that.
Is there a place to find the full list of all the existing committees and who to contact to join those committees?
I will send that out and in a message soon. We were trying to make this meeting a little short because Chris's work calendar, but
Might not need a work calendar anymore. But.
Hey, it's the other side of work is pretty damn good. But anyway, but we'll send that out again. Appreciate it. Okay, well, I think the bar is open.
All right, Anand, so I'm sorry. We do have one.
Wait.
All right, there's a couple of things. Something about merchant code and I'll talk to Scott about it. They're just asking, does it have to be sports related versus not food related? Because there's somebody wanting to get points against food. So we'll discuss that with the team. I'll take that on. In the Cove, there are 18 to 20 homes that are not getting the area from their house to the lake cutback. Oh, so that would not be this committee. So Tina, that would be the master committee or Sunny Grove specifically. But the question is about how do you get your grass cut, basically, because I guess they haven't been coming. Yeah, I might be free soon enough. But so that would not be this group.
I want to say something to everybody. Please do not fight on the Facebook. I said on Facebook, do not fight. If you have any problem, any issue, call that person. These people, they're working so hard. And you know what? If you want to do something, come and be volunteer. Not sit outside and say, okay, you're doing bad job, you're doing good job. Because you've never been in their situation. If you are in their situation, you know. I used to be a coach of 9 years old, and some parents would tell the kids, if you don't play good, you don't have a dinner tonight. Then what I did at one game, I let the parents play against the kids to feel how they're feeling. You know what I mean? Rather than to come say, oh, you are bad because it's rather you sit in your home and you have maybe a few drinks or not, or you have an issue, then you say something bad to the board or somebody. Call them.
Those people,
Go see them.
Tony, those people that are nasty on
And
Facebook.
when you do that, you make this neighborhood bad, and by being bad, price of our house goes down. So you do this advantage to yourself. Please don't do that.
All right, for everybody online, Tony wants us to all get along. All right.
So wait.
We have to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth.
Do I have approval to?
Approval.
Approval. Okay.
Good. Yeah, I was there.